Away from the energy sector, major opposition parties have faulted President Bola Tinubu's frequent travel abroad. According to them, the president is more interested in globetrotting than addressing pressing issues of the country. But the presidency said a leader who sought to bring foreign investments couldn't afford to sit back when the harvest was out there. In the past 18 months in office, Tinubu and Vice President Kashim Shettima have embarked on 43 trips across 28 countries. The president is currently in France for a state visit. Commenting on the trips, the National Deputy Youth Leader of the PDP, Timothy Osadolor, described Tinubu as a globe-trotting president. Osadolor wondered why the funds spent in such trips could not be put to good use to salvage thousands of jobless Nigerian youths. And to talk about this, we're joined by socio-political analyst as well as former national coordinator for the Middle Belt Patriots, and that's Zariyi Yusuf. Good afternoon. Glad to have you join me on the news. Mr. Zariyi, can you hear me?
Thank you.
All right, great. Okay. Let me start by asking what your impression is regarding the president's travel, trips abroad so far. Do you think is one too many or justifiable? And do you think it aligns with Nigeria's fiscal responsibility?
First of all, there is nothing justifiable about it. And secondly, I wish, as was described by the youth leader of the PDP, it was just globetrotting. Unfortunately, it is not, because there is an underlying issue that is far more dangerous than basically the waste of taxpayers' money in flying around countries. And I think he has done so more than the number of months he has been in office. Now, let me put it this way, particularly focusing on his trip to France. It's well, to directly address your question, there is nothing that justifies the trips, frankly speaking, because to a large extent, when you make traveling around foreign countries a part of your major policy, to a large extent, a period of 3 months from when you commenced your rulership or leadership or whatsoever we would call it of a country, there should be some things that would have paid off to a large extent, but basically nothing is paying off. I think the best we could remember as far as international investment is concerned, a lot of multinationals are shutting down. Well, multinationals that basically we have not known to basically cheat in regards to their ties with the government. They are packing up and they are leaving. Small-scale industries are folding up. The masses are suffering, and basically there is nothing as far as his trips abroad is concerned that has positively impacted Nigerians in any way. I did mention earlier that I wish he was just flying around or globetrotting as it was described, but there is a far more dangerous dimension to it, especially with his frequent visits to France. Except memory is shallow or short, but if we would look at it well, we would very much remember there were particular reasons why the military in Mali, in Burkina Faso, in Niger sacked the governments there. Now, while we are upholding the notion of democracy, it's important to also look at why they would want their old colonial masters gone. Part of some of the things that were described as this visit, somebody tried to capture it and say he had this 10 points of very aggressive, agenda in his journey, in his trip to, the French president. There is security, there is power transition, there is agriculture, and a couple of other things. But particularly with the case of security, if you followed the trend in Niger, especially around their transition from the civilian to the military, you would understand that one of the core reasons why they had to sack the French was simply because of the compromises in their, security, especially when it comes to fighting Islamists and non-state actors. So exactly how that is going to play out in Nigeria, a country where you find state governors or possibly the federal government engaged more in pardoning Islamists rather than even catering to their victims, or the tens of thousands of refugees that are even outside the countries.
Okay, just to chip
it's
in
just
there.
pathetic. And with regards, okay, go ahead.
I was going to chip in there, Mr. Yusuf. Some school of thought believe this visit overseas by the president is to position Nigeria in a positive light, as well as generate, foreign investments for Nigeria. What do you make of that?
It is a lie. There is nothing about positioning Nigeria anywhere in the globe. I think it's the eagerness of puppet masters to basically appear as willing tools to ruthless colonialists to basically come in. And it's not exactly as if we are ignorant of the history of the dealings of African countries with foreign powers, France in particular, which I would describe as the most ruthless of all of the colonialists that we have had on the African continent. We know of their relationship with Burkina Faso. We know of their role in Mali. We understand how much the security of Niger could not, do it, was only worsening, and the military was basically had their hands tied behind their backs due to the French, and especially with regards to energy transition and exploration or exploitation of mineral resources. I think it's quite dangerous that a country that was colonized by these people over the decades have found a good reason to say, hey, you need to pack up and leave, because other than exploiting us, we don't have any business around here. As a matter of fact, you do so even at the expense of our security as a sovereign state. And then all of a sudden, an Anglophone country decides to package itself and presents itself as a willing slave to a ruthless slave master. It doesn't make any sense. Of course, propaganda is there. They could say whatever they want, but I don't see anything positive in that regard.
Mr. Yusuf, permit me to, differ in perspective with you. Are you saying there are no benefits whatsoever from all of these foreign trips, the president is embarking on? Okay, seems we lost connection with our guest.
Well, yes, sorry. Yeah, we haven't lost connection. I think my light went off.
All right, go ahead.
If I could go ahead like that, it's fine.
That's fine, go ahead.
All right. Okay, I do not think anything positive is coming out of it. Basically, whatever it is that is positive is like possibly I'd say 90% to the colonialist, 90% to those foreign powers that are being wooed, that we are willingly trying to open our doors to. And then however it affects Nigeria, it will not go beyond the state captors and basically their beneficiaries. But as far as the sovereignty of Nigeria or the economic development of Nigeria is concerned, I doubt if anything tangible is coming out of it. It won't. I know that very well.
Well, thank you so much for your insight on the news. Zariyi Yusuf, socio-political analyst and former national coordinator for the Middle Belt Patriots. Many thanks indeed.